Hello, good morning. This is Gilles Mancillon. I wanted to come to you today briefly to comment on this full moon. I've already done that, but Spirit is asking me to return, to come back and speak again. And so I'm going to pull a few cards. This moon is like a great. There is a great effusion of energy. It's like the energy are bubbling up, and it's like there is a fusion of energy. It is very powerful. I feel it really strong. This Pisces moon is, and then Mercury is going direct. Was yesterday or the day before. So now all those energies are moving forwards. What the situation for us today is conditioning, is to be free from conditioning, to allowing ourselves to let go of all those conditioning, all those authority, all those things that people have been trying to make us conform to. We have to be rebel. We have to be to question every sense of authority outside of our own inner internal light. The light, love, and power within ourselves has to be self-sufficient enough to take your decision without having to be conditioned by those societal beliefs. So we have, in doing that, you awaken yourself to those new truths, and so you are able to help others also to see the possibility for themselves to be free as well. For once we are free, there is nothing that we are no longer bounded to anything. What is on the invisible world is the source. It is the power of God. It is the one. It is the one that is all, that is working behind the scene in the invisible world to bring all this program together into unification. And so, of course, God is not in any hurry. God is eternal, so He has no. But there is a time-sensitive understanding that the timelines are designed for the evolution of mankind, and it is a force that is beyond all of us. That is moving the collective of evolution. For time does not change. It might seem paradoxal to say that time is always the same time. It is that just all things are transformed through times, but time is really what separates things and events. And when the lords of times have decided, when the divine timing is right, things come together. And so time and space are the gift of paradise. They are experiential, complementary forces. They're not really forces, but neither space or time are forces, but they are energies. They are complementary. But it's not even energy. They're just space and time. It's just what it is. Yet what we want to know is that we exist beyond time. We are just experiencing time, but within a now of our consciousness, we have to be able to bring this to tune into the inner light, and through this inner light to seek to this inner light to return to the great light. And from there we'll see that time has never existed. It is just a process, a cycle. What we see on the visible world is the lovers. It's a very powerful romantic relationship. It is very, it's a deep connection. It is love. It is the sharing of love. Romantic relationship are essential aspect of evolution, and so it is good to be able to enjoy that, the potential of it, or the actualization of it, or the deepening of it. For this is really what is before us. In the visible plane, what we are working on is healing. It is the ability to let things, to give ourselves the time to be kind to ourselves, to allow ourselves to heal ourselves, to allow all the old wounds to be addressed and to be perceived with light and love, and so they can be healed, and then they are forgotten, and we move on to something else. For time has the power to heal everything. What we are learning through this process is integration. We need to reintegrate all those inner part of ourselves, the yin and the yang, the positive and masculine, the higher, the unity as well, positive, yin, yang, and unity. For all of those needs to be, everything needs to be integrated. Those two energies are very, very powerful. So we are taking the time to integrate it, but we are being supported by the universe and on the inner world and on the outer world. So it should be a pleasurable process that will be happening through the month of September. I wanted briefly to discuss a bit of philosophy. For philosophy is questioning things. It's about trying to understand things, to unfold greater thoughts. So in essence, there is a need for more Socratic understanding to be infused into society. For Socrates was not a philosopher. For he was the father of philosophy, but he had no philosophy of his own. He knew nothing. The only thing he knew what to do is to break down the limited limited beliefs of the people he would meet, to let them, so that they could realize by themselves that all their beliefs was completely meaningless, and from there something new, a new knowledge would come out of them, and they would be helped by that in realizing this higher understanding. And so I've been working with Socrates, with my friend Plato, who's also teaching Socratic thoughts on the astral plane. So I've been working with them. I've been also wanted to address a bit the world of cause. For once we move into spiritual ascension, we understand the world of cause. Everything comes from cause. Every cause has an effect. So you become aware or enlightened in relationship to cause. Of course, there is a first cause. For the first cause is really what a lot of scientists, a lot of philosophers have been looking for, but they will never find it. Why? Because there is secondary and associated sources, causes that will always baffle the mind of materialist scientists. The infinite spirit can never be discovered within material realm. Why? Because it is too refined. It touches on it is beyond the quantum field. And in many sense, many scientists have been trying to reconcile the relativity of linear physics with the quantum reality, which they cannot do, because E equal to mc squared only on the physical plane. As soon as you move on to the quantum field, the quantum field can never be attached to the linear reality. It is the linear reality that is part of the quantum field. And so, but there will be new equations that will be revealed that will help the world, both scientific and philosophical world, to understand this a new way of perceiving things in relationship to cause and effect. There was a philosopher that was named Spinoza, who was really trying to look for that. The cause of cause of cause of cause. And so Spinoza was a very important philosopher because he tried to eliminate all superstition within the religious beliefs. You know, people were really dogmatic, and there's still a lot of religious people that are extremely dogmatic. Dogmatism means to limit God to a point where they believe that whatever they believe is the only truth, when truth is infinite. You cannot limit God, you cannot limit yourself. It's just one tiny perception of one thing. Doesn't mean it's not true, but there are many truths, and the truth, as many have studied it, is completely inexpressible. The truth can be even there are many philosophers that thought that the truth existed, that the infinity of God, but it was completely unattainable. Even thought would recognize that there is a circle where God is alone there, and that is fine. For of course there will always be mystery within the one. Hermetism. The Hermetic teachings will teach you that what they call infinity is all. They call the all is unattainable. Descartes was the same thing. Descartes was thinking through his reasoning that they could see the infinity, but he could not attain it. Same thing with Immanuel Kant. He was seeing that there was an infinite perfection that he could receive through the pure intuition, but he could not receive the wholeness. He would just sense the idea, the understanding of it. In many sense, those people were very advanced, and they brought a lot of understanding to the world, but they did not know the true power potential of the spirit presence of God, the I Am presence, which is supreme, ultimate, and absolute in potential. So there is really no limit in the self-realization that can be attained within the consciousness. For like I said, we do not want to limitate God or limitate yourself. So for one, it is one and the same. In truth, the Pythagoras, another great philosopher, was a mystic philosopher and mathematician, was always said that the one, it was the number one was the number that dominated eternally all the other numbers. He was on top of the pyramid and never could be supplanted by any other number. And so the same thing in the wisdom of thought. The Atlantean is that we see that in the universe there are higher, middle, and lower cycle within evolution and existence. But in essence, he knows, and he says, and we know that in essence, at the end, everything will become one. There will be no higher and lower. All the ones will become one. Once all the one become one, the one will become the one. But it will take a very long time before all the fragments of Creator will become wise enough to tune into that frequency. I've been investigating the secrets of thought, the keys of thought, the 12 keys, or 13 keys. The last two are not revealed, but I do understand them. I've been The Secret of Secrets, which is the Secrets of the Paradise Trinity, which is not revealed in the document. I'm also working with the Master Orlet, the Master of Undal, who's the teacher of thought, and is teaching me some wonderful things. I'm also working with this magical power with the Lady Metis, which is a goddess, who's a very powerful goddess who has great sense and feeling when it comes to abilities to utilize the energies of creation for diverse purposes. And I'm also working with another great master, whose name is Merlin, who's working with the natural kingdom, the Diva, the elementals. He's one of the heads of the consoles on the master ascended master level. Anybody can call on Merlin, we can call on any spirits. For every spirit will have different things to bring to you, but you have to be precise, and when you call on one spirit, usually this is what you get. So but when you call on Merlin, you will see it comes. If your third eye is open, you will see it's great ground beings with this blue hat and yellow stars. And he comes, but if you're not ready, he will instantly leave. He will assess the point where, what are you ready to do with him? Why did you call him? And then you work with that. It's a process that we're going through. For this, there is the realm of magic is the ability. I'm not talking about illusions. I'm talking about, and I'm not talking about the dark art, the forbidden arts. I'm talking about you're working within the law of one, within the law of light and love, to utilize those powers to transform things in an alchemical process and create things straight from the mind directly into matter, manifesting thoughts into matter. So this is the process of magic. And there are many other aspects that we are being attuned, but it will greatly accelerate our process and our enjoyment into this world once we connect to those higher parts of ourselves and we become free of the limitations of time and space through the ability of projecting ourselves into this eternal realm of spirit reality. Well, I hope this message was interesting for you. I'm going to finish with a little song. Just to finish with a little musical interlude, it's a song by Cat Stevens. It's called Morning Has Broken. It's a small short version. It goes like this. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise every morning. Praise for them springing fresh from the world. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, hidden so plain. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise every morning. Praise for them springing fresh from the world. I wish you a good morning, a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Namaste.